Hey everyone, welcome back to Watch and Carry. So as you can tell from my last video, I'm putting up my pint for sale. And I'm heading to Los Angeles this weekend to visit family and actually pick up my mom's dog. She's going on vacation and I'm going to be babysitting the little guy for a bit. But I did find a buyer, potential buyer for the pint. So he will be coming over to my address in Los Angeles and taking a look. So this might be one of the last times that I have both boards available. The pint on the left and the plus on the right. So I figured I would just film a video and kind of cover questions that I had when, even before I bought my Onewheels, when I was like, oh, do I get the bigger one? Do I get the smaller one? And then also just having ridden the Onewheel. I took this out on a night ride yesterday. Had an amazing time on the Plus. I mean, except for the range, which will be solved by that 2X battery that's coming in the mail for me. Man, that brought the smile to my face that I was looking for. So just a little bit more speed and a little bit higher threshold for that pushback, and I had a blast last night riding on this thing. So I'm going to compare some stuff. If I missed anything, comment down below, and I will try to get to it as soon as I can. So let's just start with the basics and do the dimensions here. So as you know from the Onewheel website, the pint is 27 inches long. So as I'm holding this here, oops. All right, so as I'm holding that there, going all the way from the tip, you can see that, yeah, indeed, it's about 27 inches long, right? And then you take the Onewheel Plus, again, going from the edge, and this one is more around, probably need more tape. So this one is more around like 30 inches. The one wiki file does a better job of giving you exact measurements, but for now, about 30 inches. Yeah, about 30 inches long on the Plus, about 27 inches long on the pint. Let's go for some width. So the width here you can see is like just shy of 9 inches on the pint. And then the foot pad here on the Plus is just, yeah, it's exactly 9.5 inches for the width. Going for the height, so this will be a little bit trickier to measure. I mean, a wheel is a wheel, right? So it doesn't really matter where I measure this. So this is just about, get that level for you. What, just shy of 11 inches high, going from the bottom of the tire to the top. And then for the Plus, just shy of 1 foot. Get that more level. Actually, they're pretty close, right? This is just a little bit over 11. And this one is, let's move this out of the way. And this one's just a little bit over 10. Okay, so it looks like about half an inch difference in height over there. That's covering the basics. Let's see, what else would be good to measure? Some of you guys like to do custom rail work. Like I've seen people do some pretty cool mods with their rails, like adding tack rails and stuff. So let's get those rails measured too. So the rails on the pint are going to be, let's see, just about 1 foot long from the top bolt to the bottom. Okay, and then wide, let's go back to the Plus, keep it consistent. And then on the Plus, you're just under actually. So you actually have shorter rails on the Plus, just about 11.5 inches. All right. So I guess that makes sense. You can kind of see that. This has that really seamless design that goes all the way across, whereas these ones kind of break right at the foot pad. And of course, more of that dimension is going to the foot pad than the rail. So longer rails on the Pint. How about width? Well, the width should be the same, right, as the foot pad that I measured, but whatever, I'll just do it again. Just shy of 8 1/4 or 8 3/4, and then this one is just shy of 10 inches. Going from the side there. Okay, let's do thickness. So the rails here on the Pint are just shy of, sorry guys, I'm doing this one-handed. Just shy of 2 inches for the height. And then on the Plus, you've got about 1.5. Oh, so it's actually thicker on the Pint. Wow. Let me pull this to the side and do that again. So here on the Pint, I'll do this. Can I handle this camera so you guys can see? Probably not. I'll just do it off camera and you guys can. Yeah, just shy of 2 inches. I'd say like 1.8 inches tall on the rails on the Pint. And then you saw here 1.5. Yeah, so 1.5 inches tall for the rails on the Plus, 1.8 inches tall for the rails on the Pint. So the only thing that the Pint looks like it has bigger compared to the Plus, and I'm assuming the XR, is the length of the railing, like this length, and then the height. Those are both longer on the Pint. Let's see, what else would be good? Let's take a look at that tire. Now, you know, everyone's adding custom tires and, you know, getting treaded tires or go-kart tires like this. That's really all going to depend, but these are both factory tires. So the width on this is about, what, 6 1/4, I would say. Yeah, about 6 1/4. That's how wide it is. But the actual contact patch, which is like a lot thinner, and again, this will depend on if you're carving or not. But I'll just put a ruler here so you can kind of get a feel for that contact patch. And you can see just how convex? I think this is convex, right? When it goes like this, concave is more of like a dip. Concave is like, so you can see how convex that tire is. All right. And then let's go to the Plus. So the width here, we are getting at about 7. Yeah, I think the camera is a little bit deceiving. This is just about 7 inches wide. And then that contact patch a little bit wider. Let's say about 6 inches, maybe 5.5. Yeah, I'd say more 5.5. Because you can see that this little bead of dirt here and that little line of dirt is kind of more of where I'm measuring, because that's kind of evident of where I'm riding. So 5.5 for the contact patch versus like almost like 4 or 4.5 here on the Pint for the actual part that's hitting the concrete. Ooh, let's hope that wasn't oh, it's just a stone. And then the look, you can just see it's a lot broader on the Plus. Can I get both of these guys in shot together? Let's see here. There you go. It's a better look. Plus Pint. camera's really deceiving because really the Plus looks a lot wider in person, which makes sense. Anyways, that's the tire. I don't think there's really anything else here I would measure. Oh, you know what? How about shoe size? So let me put this down. Let's just see how well my foot covers. My foot covers both of these foot pads, so this is my shoe, my Puma shoe. Actually, let me get the left shoe instead of the right. Okay, so I'm going to line up my heels with the left side of both boards so you can kind of get an idea of how much I'm hanging off. So here, these are size 11 men's, of course. I rarely wear women's shoes. 11 wide, for whatever that means to you. And you can see I've lined up my heels there, and that's how much I have hanging off the edge on size 11 shoes. So let's measure that as well. That's a good like 3.5 inches. Again, this camera really just does not give you a good representation, I think, of how long that is. So it's a little over 3 inches hanging off on the front and on the back because the front and rear pads are both the same. Now, if you're riding a little Alpine like me on the front, I kind of go like that. That kind of helps it deal with it a little bit, but you still got a good chunk hanging off there, right? So now let's put these on the Plus. Again, we're going to line up those back heels. Perfect. Okay, I'll give you an outside shot. Okay, and let's take a measurement here. So we are looking at about... Actually, you know what? It's not that different. Well, no, that's not true. This is about 2.5 inches. You can see there on camera. It's about 2.5 inches off versus 3, right? This one was about... Actually, this one looks more close to 4. 3.5. So 3.5 versus 2.5. Right, so, yeah. So really, when you're riding with the Plus, you've got about an extra, or I'm sorry, when you're riding with the Pint, you have about an extra inch of shoe hanging off, assuming you're riding in this stance with a size 11 shoe. So everyone's foot will be a little bit different. I'm assuming if people with smaller feet, lengthwise, they'll probably feel a little more stable. At least they will have more contact patch on the grip tape. So let's put those aside. Let's see what else is worth taking a look at here. The bottom of the board, I mean, I'll show it to you. I don't think that's really going to affect anything. Oh, and then I'll show you the chargers actually, because that's quite a big difference. Not going to do any measurements because these are pretty much the same. There is the Pint front. Yeah, this is hanging up, right? Where's the sensor at? Right, yeah. The front is always the one that tips up in the air. So that's the front on the Pint versus the front on the Plus. So you can see that pretty similar. Definitely a little bit more of a clean design on the Pint. You have these little gaps here, you know, for people that really care. These, you know, when they manufacture cars, one of the things that they look for in quality, and one of the things you pay for as a customer for those higher end vehicles like Mercedes and BMW is gaps between the panels. So you can see here that, you know, this definitely has a larger gap all around versus the sleek design of the Pint. Whether or not that contributes to water resistance, I'm not sure. It makes sense to me that the pint would be a little bit more water resistant. So, you know, think what you want to think there. And then if we go to the rear foot pad, same thing, nice and clean here on the left. Got a little bit extra branding. Here on the right, pretty basic. Not too bad with these gaps, actually. I don't see any. So these are really nice and clean. I think it's really only this, which I'm still learning the anatomy of my Plus. This is the real only thing with a wide gap. But here, really nice, very clean. So no problems there. Let's take a look at that finish on the rail. This is the slate color. Kind of see that color. I can't really show you the side rails because I have these HD kit installed and it's pretty battered, so it makes the rail look bad. But that's the finish on the Pint, and then that's that blue metallic finish on the Plus. Okay. Handle, I guess, would be the only other big thing that's a difference. You got that front handle here on the Pint, or on the Plus. Nothing here on the Pint. Yeah. How about, oh, let's take a look at the, I'll get to the chargers in a bit. Let's take a look at those headlights and tail lights. I think actually that's a pretty important thing to look at. A lot of the complaints from the Onewheel Pint riders is that the headlights and tail lights on the Pint are not as bright as on the Plus. Oh, that's a bummer. I can't turn on the headlights. So you know what? Let's make this a two-part video, because the minute I switch apps in my phone, which I'm using to record right now, it's going to stop the video anyway. So let's leave the tail lights off for now and the headlights, and I will get back to that. Let's just finish up what I can here. Grippiness, hard for me to tell. This guy, I bought it used with 12 or 10 miles on it, so I'm using my fingers, it feels grippy. This board on the left, I've used this for 72 miles. It feels just like a slight bit less grippy. I'd say like 5% if I had to quantify it. You know, the grain, what do you call that when you're looking at sandpaper? The grit. The grit, I don't know what the count is between these two, but that's the Pint and that's the XR. That's the Plus, sorry. That's the Plus and that's the Pint. Too many model names, I'm getting confused. Okay. Am I still recording? Okay, good. Let's go now to the bricks. Remember, was that the original Xbox or was that Xbox 360? I think it was Xbox 360. But you remember those bricks from the Xbox that came out? I mean, that is exactly what you're getting with the Plus. So it's already obvious that the Pint is pint size for the brick. Let's get some measurements here. So the Plus has a length of just shy of 7 inches versus the Pint, which has a length of, sorry about that reflection, just a little bit over 5 inches. The width, so here on the Plus, about 3 inches, and then here on the Pint, about 2 1/4 inches. How about the height? About 1 1/2. And then here on the Plus, about 2. So that'll give you a good size comparison between the two. The Plus obviously charges quicker. I don't know the capacity for that battery on the Plus or the Pint. Plus, typically, speaking of charging from 0% to 100, I timed it with a stopwatch. I was eating my dinner while waiting for that light on the charger to turn green. So 0 to 100% on the Plus took me 22 minutes. to get that fully charged up, or at least for this light to turn green from red. On the Pint, that was a dinner and a movie while I had my Plus in the background while I was watching it. So that was 2 hours, it's 125 minutes, I think. Yeah, 120, so 2 hours and 5 minutes to go from 0% to 100 with the Pint. So very, very different charging rates, and of course different batteries for whatever that's worth. I'm not an expert with batteries. So the Pint has a NMC, which I believe stands for nickel manganese cobalt oxide. And then on the Plus, you have that lithium iron phosphate. I did some battery research from a non-Onewheel website, so it had nothing to do with Onewheel, it was just on batteries, and it was pretty interesting to read several articles. One of them was from ResearchGate, or some like government website, or Science Direct, something like that. It was like a government website where they were comparing different types of lithium ion batteries. So if you don't know, both of these batteries are technically lithium ion. So when you look at that one wiki file for traveling and it says that the Plus is not a lithium ion, that's not technically right. It is a lithium ion. It's just not the same lithium ion that they put in those hoverboards that exploded. So both are lithium ion. Apparently the thermal capacity, basically, I think that means the ability of the battery to hold its integrity before it explodes under heat, is better with the Plus slightly, meaning that there's a higher thermal resistance with the Plus compared to the Pint, but they said it's pretty similar. What was a little bit different, though, was the longevity. They said through numerous charges, the lithium iron phosphate on the Plus, and I don't think the XR has that. I think the XR is an NMC. But lithium iron phosphate tends to hold its charge cycle, or it tends to hold its battery capacity better than an NMC battery. According to those articles, I only read 3 articles, so, who knows in the real world or in these applications how that works out. Let's see here. I think that's pretty much it. Things on the Pint, you got that handle there on the right side, that mag handle. Obviously nothing here on the left side. Got a pretty nice contoured plate here in the center. Really just minimizes the gap between everything. And then here on the Plus, obviously you have a much larger gap there. But actually, the wheel gap between the rear footpad on the Plus and on the Pint actually looks like there's more of a gap on the Pint. Yeah, can I increase the brightness there? Yeah, there. Right? I mean, I don't have a small enough ruler to measure that, but you can just see that there's less wheel gap, at least from the sensor to the tire, or from the pad to the tire in the front and the rear. That's the front now, the Plus. That's the front of the Pint. I don't know, to me that looks like there's more gap on the Pint. Let's put these really close together. I don't know, what do you think? I think it's a lot thinner here, right? And then I guess the significance of that is that wheel is rotating like this, so that dirt, if it's going to come up, would be coming up here. So even though you would think you would get more debris coming out of the Plus because it's bigger, it has a bigger gap overall, I don't know. I'm curious which one would kick up more debris. I mean, obviously here to the sides, we would have more on the Plus versus the Pint, and that Pint has a more contoured tire, and this housing, this molded material is also kind of concave to that as well. So I don't know, it'd be interesting. I don't ride with a fender, and I don't ride in water or mud, so I couldn't really tell you which one is more practically effective at preventing debris from kicking up. And then on the Pint, let's see, you got that power button and the charge port both on the same side, which is nice. On the Plus, you have the power button on the left, and you have the charge port on the right, but both of them are in the top position. Cool. So I think that'll wrap up this video. If you have any other questions, I'm going to do part 2, and I'll cover the lights. I'll try to turn down the lights in the room as much as possible and give you guys an idea of what it looks like. But yeah, that should do it for now. I'll catch you on the next one.